eyo yenkola egenda okutuyamba okulwaninga bizinesi zaffe mu ngeri ya digital
etya
oba olina okuwandiisa bizinesi yo mu ifris osobola okumanya muwendo gw'ebintu by'olina mu bizinesi yo enfulumya n'ennyingiza mu bizinesi yo awo URA esobola okukola omulimu gwayo ogw'emisolo obulungi
nedda mwami musoke kyesitegeera ifris eyingira etya mu bizinesi yange
kakati enkola ne ya ifris eyingiza bizinesi yo mu sisitemu ya URA kubanga tekyali kya buntu bulamu okugerekera omusolo ogutali mutuufu abateebereza buteebereza
ekyo kituufu ddala bannange ekyo kituufu kubanga mazima obadde omusolo gubadde gwapaala bupaazi ng'ogenda n'osasula omusolo gw'otomanyiko omutwe n'amagulu kwegamba bambi nga tekiriiyo
olaba kakati ati n'ekirala ifris eyamba okukuuma ebiwandiiko bya bizinesi yo kuba biyinza okubulako biyinza okukwata omuliro naye kati wano ifris biba biri digitalized
bannange nenkola ntya okwewandiisa
kyangu nnyo waludde dda okwewandiisa mu nkola ya ifris genda ku kibanja kya URA www.ura.go.ug awo olondeko e-invoicing awo no ugoberere endagiriro URA tukulaakulanyize wamu Uganda. Uganda is rich in natural resources and hard-working people. But to turn these resources into real progress and development, we need to invest in our infrastructure, education, and healthcare. That's where taxes come in. When we pay our taxes, we are investing in our country's future. We are supporting the schools that educate our children, the hospitals that care for our families, and the roads and bridges that connect our communities. And when businesses pay their taxes, they are contributing to the growth and development of Uganda's economy. They are helping to build a stronger, more prosperous nation for us all. So when you pay your taxes, you are investing in the future of Uganda and supporting the progress and development of our nation. Uganda is because of you.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
These services are free of charge. All you need is a copy of your national ID.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Neman, thank you very much.
Wacha wewe.
Your receipt, please.
What's the difference?
You don't know.
Always ask for one.
Good morning. Welcome to today's Tax Mchuzi Webinar, where we tackle different topics that can help you understand taxes better. I'm Josephine Kabiesiza. I'll be moderating this session, and I'll ask Peter to introduce himself before we can start.
Thank you, Josephine. My name is Peter Losike. I sit at the Tax Literacy Unit. I'm an officer at the DT department, and I'm glad to be here today again to talk about formalization of businesses, and it's a pleasure being here.
Thank you, and you're welcome. So we'll go straight into the topic, which is business formalization. So Peter, what is a formal business in Uganda?
Okay, good question. You know, the problem in our country is everyone is doing business, and the law allows everyone to do business. But then as the agencies of government, we need to be able to aid the public on how to do business well. And that's why we talk about formalization of businesses. A formal business is a business that is registered in accordance with the laws of the country. Okay, so business formalization is ensuring that all the businesses that are running in the country are registered in accordance with the law. And the agency, the body that is mandated with that role is Uganda Business Registrations Bureau. Okay, URSB is the one that is mandated to register. And so formalization really, in as far as Uganda is concerned, as registration of businesses, but also you have to have acquisition of a TIN number, and then you have to have a license for operation. It has 3 steps. That is when we can say your business is formalized. Okay, so that is the definition of formalization of businesses in the context of Uganda.
All right. What is the nature of a formal business and an informal business? What's the difference?
Okay, just as I get to that question, you will know that the statistics we have is that our economy is about 51% of the informal sector.
Yeah.
That's a huge percentage of our economy is still in the informal sector. And that has big repercussions onto how the economy runs. Okay, and that's a very good question. So we need to distinguish which people are in the informal sector and which people are in the formal sector. One, formal businesses are registered to begin with. They have a name and they have the person who is responsible. Say the person who is managing is known. They have a location of a board. We know where your business is. We know your contact. We can get in touch with you. They have the nature of their business is known. Okay, I deal in merchandise. I deal in electricals. And that is very important when we're dealing with the formalization of businesses. Okay, they file returns. That's the most important aspect of business formalization. You can be registered, but also it's important that the agencies that deal with businesses in Uganda know how your businesses are running. So one of the nature of formal businesses is that they file returns, okay? And then like the nature of their business is descriptive. All these are very, very necessary aspects because going forward, to be able to support these businesses, to be able to understand them, and to be able to give them the services that they require, the details of what they are doing is very important. And also that what I was almost forgetting is that the nature of their business must be acceptable in accordance with the law. There's some businesses that are not accepted by the law, okay? So that is a very key element in describing formal businesses. And the question you want to ask me is, what about the informal businesses? The informal businesses are just the other way, the opposite, okay? They'll say, whose business is this? It's for Mama Boy. You know, the owner of the business is not known. But what do you actually do? What services do you give? What do you sell? You find sometimes they deal in many things at the same time. So it's very difficult to describe exactly what they deal in. And then they don't have a location. They're either in the evening, they're on Home Street. and then at the time they are in Kamocha, you know, and these are the challenges the government has when you're dealing with informal businesses. But then also, informal businesses, there's no way that you can interact with them. They cannot file for your returns. You cannot know where they are. You cannot locate them. And sometimes, yes, it becomes difficult. And so that is really how informal businesses operate.
Okay. So basically, the hustlers, the ones commonly known as the people who are kuilibari, that's the informal business. So if I'm one of those people hustling, doing, you know, whatever I think can give me money in that moment, how can I go about formalizing the business? What procedures can I follow?
Okay, that's a very good question. It becomes, going forward, all the business people need to know that it becomes very imperative that we have our businesses registered. Long gone are the days when we thought we could, you know, maneuver. It's becoming the order of the day, okay? Because if government has to plan, if we have to read the budget, we have to know how many people are doing businesses and what type of businesses are they doing, so that government can plan appropriately the services, the requirements, and so on for the economy. So this is what we would urge them. Step number one is you go to the URSB offices. They're everywhere in the country. Uganda Registration Bureau Services. When you go there, they will ask you for the articles of memorandum of articles, like that document, or it's a narrative of what is it that you do in your business, okay? What is an account of your business? It's called memorandum of articles. They will expect you to give a document that narrates your business. They'll give you a form 18, that helps to capture all that information. And then also they will expect what we call a statement of nominal income, okay? A statement of nominal income shows who are the people who are running this business and what is their capital contribution. At URSB, that information is very important because they need to know who is running the business and what is the contribution of each member into this business. When you submit that information to them, they will issue you with a certificate of registration, okay? So you will have a certificate of registration, and that is now when you're fully registered. Now with that certificate of registration, then you move to the next step. You go to a URA office, and URA office will now take you through the process of issuing a TIN number for your company, be it a company, be it an individual business. So when you come at URA, you'll come with that certificate of registration, but also URA will ask you for Form 18. Again, that form also you're given at URSB. Form 18. Form 18 is showing who are the directors of this business. Meanwhile, at URSB, that form is showing, they call it the subscribers, the owners of the business. But at URA, it's different. They call them the directors because they're the ones managing the business. So at URA, you'll be requested to have your certificate of registration and your form number 18, and then your national ID or whichever documents of identification that you have. And then URA will also get necessary information from you, further refining the information that you gave at URSB. So we also need to know the nature of your business, where your business is located, because at URA, we allocate the nature of businesses strictly. There is a coding that we give. So we need to know accurately what you do so that we allocate your businesses accordingly. And then after that, we will issue what's called a TIN number. Now that TIN number has all the details of your records at URA. Now the last step is that for you now to be able to run your business, you need to be licensed. The local authorities, wherever you are, if you're in Jinja, if you are in Entebbe, the local authorities will not permit you to run your business before you go to their offices and get a license. So that is KCCA or any other local authority. You will go to them, show them your registration certificate from URSB, show them your TIN certificate from URA, and then using those details and their framework, they also have a framework, they will give you a license. There's a fee that you pay for that license according to the details of your business. When you get that license, then we can now say, in accordance with the laws of Uganda, you are formally a registered business.
Right. Thank you for that. So just to summarize, what are the necessary documents from the
Okay.
process you've talked about? What are the necessary documents?
Okay. Stage number one, memorandum, articles of memorandum. Like there's a form that you're given to fill to describe your business. That is document number one. Then document number two is form number 18. It's a registration form. Company of registrars, register of companies, sorry. They give you that form to put in that information. Document number 3 is certificate of registration. They'll give you a certificate of registration from URSB. Document number 4 that you also need is a statement of nominal capital. All those forms are at URSB. When you go to URSB, they'll give you those forms. So those are 4 forms you'll get at URSB. When you come at URA, they will give you a TIN certificate. But to get a TIN certificate, you need the certificate of registration from URSB. You need a company form 18 that shows the list of directors. Also, you get that one from URSB. You need your identification documents. It can be a national ID. It can be a passport, depending on your circumstances. It can even be a refugee card, because in Uganda, refugees are allowed by law to do business. So whichever identification you have is also required. So those are the documents you will need at URA so that you get a certificate, a TIN certificate. And then finally at the local government offices at KCCA, you will need a TIN certificate, which you got from URA. You will need a certificate of registration, which you got at URSB. And then you'll be required to pay certain fees, and then they'll give you a license. So basically, those are the documents. And you can realize that those documents are sequential. So that is very, very important for the business person to know. You need to know where to go first, where to go next. And I think at this point, I wanted to bring it out that URA made it easier, that we have one-stop shop centers called TREP centers, where a business person can go and just have all this done at once. So you just get in touch and you can be directed to those centers.
Maybe for the benefit of our viewers, TREP is a partnership between the Ministry of Local Government, so the local authorities, the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, that's URSB, and Uganda Revenue Authority. So at the different places mentioned, you're likely to find the TREP officers or officers who can assist you so that you have these services in one place and you don't have a case or a scenario where you're running around the different locations. You can be served in one place by all the government agencies collaborating. And so for the hustlers or those whose businesses may be informal, this process seems hectic and cumbersome. For, like I mentioned, the yeasts or the ones who are delivering, as the terms are used on the street. What are the benefits? Why should I go through this whole process to have my business registered? I mean, if the customers can find me and I can get my money, what's the purpose for registering?
Okay. Very good question. Again, it's our role as government agencies to make it easier for these business people to register. And so I just wanted to make it clear to the business person out there that all these three arms of business registration are willing to make it easier for you to register, at least in as far as the partnership. That's why the partnership of TREP was introduced. And one of the main purpose actually is that we engage all the partners as much as possible to help them to make it easier for the taxpayer to register. So you are very welcome, and we will make it easier for you. Just have this. Even if you don't have any of those documents, come and make inquiries. We will support you. Why? Why do we have to support you? Because there are benefits. There are benefits that you reap when you undergo formalization of your business. Number one, one of the benefits is I always pass the streets when I go downtown, and I can tell you those people on the streets, they sell, but at the same time they are holding their merchandise, because when KCCA comes, they will run. When the police comes, they will run. So the first benefit is when you are formally registered, you are confident. You are doing business, and time is business. You're reducing the time you use for running around, okay, and doing real selling. So it becomes a benefit to you that you're actually in business, not running around. So you have the confidence of running your business. Very important. I can assure you they lose a lot of time in running around, and sometimes this merchandise is taken away, and then you have to start from zero. So I want to encourage them that the first benefit is really for them, that you confidently run your business, you have a place of abode, and you are protected by the law. You see, once you're registered in accordance with the law, the same law gives you protection. It gives you what we call rights of a business person. Okay, that is really the first benefit that accrues to them. Number two, your businesses has chances of growing because you have access to information. You can have access to information. You can have access to all the government offices. If you want to ask something, if you have a problem, you can go to the police. If you want information, you can go to the Ministry of Trade. If you are importing something, you can walk to any government body and ask for information that you need. And you know that these days you can't grow without information, without data. How can I make my business better? How can I find better markets? How can I reduce the costs that I'm incurring? How can I get better tariffs? And so on. You can walk into URA offices, but if you're not registered, you can't. So your business continues to stagnate and continues to hide. So the second benefit is that you have access to information and you have access to growth. The third benefit that we have is, for example, at URA, when you're registered at URA and you have a TIN number, you have their benefits. We call it the rights of a taxpayer. So at URA, you're protected. You have your rights. You have access to tax deductions because the tax law provides business people a certain level of tax deductions just to cushion their businesses. And the law also provides tax waivers where necessary. The law also provides tax holidays where applicable. So there are benefits in the tax law that you accrue if you are formally registered. But if you're not formally registered, you cannot say that I have a challenge, I didn't make sales, I don't have profit, I cannot, you don't have, there is no one you can talk to because first of all, you're in hiding. So the third benefit of business formalization, in as far as URA is concerned, you have benefits that accrue to you. And then lastly, also one of the benefits of formalization is networking. Networking with other people, other business people. If you are a contractor, if you're a service provider, you can provide at higher level when you have networks at a higher level. So business formalization opens for you that gate to bigger business people who you can interact and who can elevate you. Remember also, these bigger business people are looking for smaller companies to engage with at that level. They want to cascade their services or their businesses at a lower level. So they're looking for partners. They're looking for people who they can deal with. And they cannot deal with you when you're not registered, when you're not formalized. But when you're formalized and you're available, the National Gazette knows there's a company in Jinja, there's an entrepreneur in Iganga, they know where you are. And when these NGOs, these government bodies are doing business in that area, you can easily work with them. So really, going forward, very many other benefits, but those are the ones that are easily accessible to a business person.
Right. And just before we get into the Q&A, just a final question. What is the impact of formalizing a business?
Okay, good question. The impacts of business formalization are two-way. The most significant one is the impact of business formalization to the whole economy. And then once the economy benefits from this impact, then it can trickle down those benefits again to the population, to the business community. So let's start with the first one. What is the impact of business registration to the economy? Just like I said at the introduction, it helps government, Ministry of Finance and Planning. It helps them get the correct statistics for planning. Planning for businesses, planning for the different sectors of the economy, their needs, service delivery. So on the whole of it, government has a clear understanding of the numbers and the specific sector that you're dealing in. And so government can accurately apportion resources. So for example, we can say that among the SMEs, what is the percentage of the businesses that are SMEs? So government can plan in that level of SMEs. Government can plan in the level of local producers. How many local producers have we in the last financial year? And it can help government to project how many we can expect in the next financial year. So the issue of business formalization is all about the correct statistics for government in order to plan and to manage the economy effectively and efficiently. Number two, we need to realize that our government runs the economy from the revenues, from the taxpayers. There's no question about that. But now if we are not formally registered, then it means we are not contributing into the basket using which the government is running the country. So when we all formalize and pay our fair share of tax, it will efficiently help government to execute its mandate of service delivery and supporting businesses in the country. Okay. Also, the benefit is that to manage, we now run a liberal economy. We work with the outside world. And it becomes imperative that government has all the necessary information to protect the local business people, okay, and who the business people are dealing with. Otherwise, then if you don't have the correct data, then you don't know that there's a lot of dumping in the country because the people who are importing are dealing with people in the country who we are not known to, and we don't know what kind of products, what kind of services. So to be able to protect the economy, to protect the goods and services that are running in the economy, the government needs to have the correct information about who are the people who are running which businesses in which sector. So the third impact would be that the government is running a safe economy if everyone is registered. People who are registered, who are not registered, probably they're dealing in illegal businesses. And that creates harm to the economy in many ways, to the consumers, to the regulators. You're firefighting things, illegal things that you do not know. Okay, so that is the impact. The government is running a safe economy. The government is having sufficient revenues, tax revenues from registered people, and the government is having correct statistics to plan and organize the budget for the economy. So really, that is the impact. It's a positive thing. Now, when government is at that level, then government's planning it cascades. The benefits now cascade to the people in the economy, to the consumers, to the producers, to the business people who are making profit. It now cascades because the government can now plan better. Okay, so the impact to the economy has a subsequential benefit to the people that are running the economy. I don't know whether that comes out clearly.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So let's get into the questions. There are a couple of them. We'll start with Sharon Bonavana from LinkedIn. There is need for more training on the necessary business documents that small business owners need to keep for better tracking of tax amounts. For example, certificates of business registration, licenses, invoice quotations, custom clearances, TIN certificates, payment receipts, FRIS receipts, returns, financial statements, and the rest. I once did research on business formalization of micro businesses, and I found out documentation and record or archives management is still a huge challenge. Maybe you can comment on this.
Okay. That's a good observation from who?
Sharon.
Bonavana. Okay. True. In URA, it's about data. Okay. The tax law runs in such a way that even the taxes that you pay, the way the URA arrives at the tax that you pay is in the law is according to the available information that the taxpayer is transacting with. When you're talking about IFRS invoices, or you're talking about licenses, let's talk about the presumptive tax, for example. If I come to downtown and I think that I assess your shop and you are a presumptive taxpayer, I need certain information to guide my assessment. And that's why Sheila was talking about the licenses, the KCCA license. That KCCA license guides me, because the KCCA license tells me the level, what level do you fall under. It also guides me. I will need to have your rental receipts that you use for paying your rent. It guides me. I will need to have your certificate, TIN certificate. It guides me. Again, so she's put it right. The question of managing business documents is solely in the hands of the business person. Business record keeping is key. Of course, today we're discussing business formalization, and then the next step is what she has raised, business records. Business records are key. There is no tax officer who is going to assess you from the blue. They assess you from your records. When URA sends you assessments, by the time assessment comes into your inbox, that assessment has gone through a process, a procedure of checking the data that is related to your operations, your imports, your payments, your expenses, your salary, the salary that you're paying. data, information, documents. So that solely lies in the hands of the business person. But I agree with her that we have a role to play as partners, as URA, as URSB, as KCCA, and local authorities. We have a role to play to engage the business people on how they can keep their records available and how they can keep their records tidy and how they can keep their records safe. Thank God URA has rolled out the IFRIS. IFRIS has been running for quite a few years now. And also DTS. DTS is for producers and manufacturers. These softwares, these electronic softwares, are key in helping the taxpayer to track their transactions, daily transactions, so that at any time they are available, they are stored, they're accessible. So to answer Sheila, one, I agree that we have to make more effort as URA and the partner organizations to engage the business people further and much more in terms of business records, having your records and your documents available, the actual documents that we need to be available, and also to keep them up to date. I agree with her. And I want to inform her that one of the strategies that URA is taking on, priorities that URA is taking on this financial year, is to engage with the business people. So we will be coming out there more to engage, to listen to you, and guide you on how to manage your business documents. Then number two, I want to encourage her to embrace IFRIS in whatever she's doing. It does not mean only you have to be VAT registered, but you can still do IFRIS, and because IFRIS is an electrical solution that helps to keep all your data in place, so that it becomes easy for URA to interact with you, to assess you, and we don't have differences or and so on. So I would ask her to embrace IFRIS. It's a way that can help her to track business records. I don't know whether I have addressed her concern.
All right, thank you for that. I hope that sufficiently addresses Sharon's question. The next one is from NIST Electrical Contractors Association, also from LinkedIn. Is there an online method to make returns?
Okay. So who is that? What's the name of that?
The company is called NIST Electrical Contractors Association.
Okay. I will need to take those details of that company so that we can engage more, because I hope the company is registered. Of course, it's registered, but I also hope they have a team. Okay. And I think what's the name of the taxpayer?
NIST Electrical Contractors Association.
Okay. He's asking whether there is an online
method to make returns.
Okay. Okay, that's an interesting question. Of course, at URA, we operate online now. Okay, so there is no other way apart from online. And I think the most important way to support that business person is to get to them. I wish we could get their details, and then we guide them on practically hands-on on how we submit our returns online. Okay, so but just for the benefit of that respondent, at URA we submit two types of returns. There are annual returns, that is every year, but there are also monthly returns, depending on the nature of your business. So let's quickly go on to the annual returns. That applies to income tax. So at the beginning of the financial year, that is July, between July, for the first 6 months, you're expected to file what we call a provisional return of income. So that communicates what business you do and what sales you expect. What is the amount of business you expect in this financial year? So it's just an estimate. and there will be a tax that will a tax figure that will come out. And then at the end of the financial year ends on the 30th of June. Thereafter, URA gives you another 6 months for you to file the final return. The final return is now what are the actuals that happened during the year of transaction, during the financial year. So just for the purposes of that respondent, we have annual returns of income, and there are two: provisional at the beginning of the financial year and final return at the end of the financial year. Then secondly, we also have monthly returns. If you're registered for VAT, you expect to file a return on a monthly basis. If your company is registered for pay as you earn, as in you have employees, you have to remit their salaries monthly, so you're expected to file that return. Or if you are if you are a producing company, your production unit, you have LED, okay, so you're also expected to file those monthly returns and so on. But is that respondents should know that they're strictly online. You go to our portal, our URA portal, and you must have a TIN number and a password so that you can access. But I wish I would get the details. I wish the taxpayer can give us more contacts so that I will surely get back to them and guide them on the practical way that you can send these online returns to URA. I think we'll have served them better that way.
Okay. So to answer that question, yes, there are online options of filing returns, and we encourage you to reach out via the social media platforms or the toll-free line, or share your details so that we can guide you further on how to file the returns. Then you're also encouraged to look out for the playlists or the previous shows, Tax Mchuzi's on the URA TV on YouTube, where the topic of return filing was handled in detail. Then we have a question from Cecilia Akello, again from LinkedIn, and she's thanking us so much for the sensitization and noting that we need more of this beyond these kind of platforms. And then maybe to comment on that, Cecilia, you can also reach out so that we can invite you for the engagements. I assume you're implying that you'd like to also have physical engagements, so we can invite you whenever there's some physical engagements where you can interact further and learn more. Then Cecilia again is asking, what happens in case of dormant businesses? How does one resurrect the business without paying penalties, especially when you have not done any transactions?
Okay. Good question. There is a function in our portal that's called where you are allowed to declare. Okay, you're allowed to declare your company, your taxes, your liabilities. Okay, and then URA can be able to look into your accounts and support you. Okay, most especially for the dormant businesses, we have a function in our portal. Again, we should get in touch with, I think that's Cecilia. Okay, and we help them to go through on how we can support them. The question is, when you don't file your returns and because you closed, you're not running, exactly what she says, that the penalties and the interests accrue, and it doesn't take away the liability, even if you're not running the business. The most important thing that you do is you declare usually what's called a nil return, meaning that for this financial year you are not in business. More so, what you're guided to do is you can deactivate your team. If you realize that you're not in business this year, or you're having some challenges, you can come to URA, any office, or even through our platforms. You can get in touch and request that your team be deactivated temporarily. And so we'll deactivate your team until such a moment when your business is running, and then we will reactivate you. It's a function that is available. But for the meantime, to resurrect it, please come. Do not fear to come. We know that there could be those liabilities and those interests and those penalties in your tin. Come, get to your office. Find, if you give us your tin, we will know where your tax office is. Get to your tax office, or just walk to our URA, any of the URA offices, and then they will allocate you where your office is, and they will guide you. They will guide you on how we can work on those penalties. And I think I'm aware that there was, it's not a law, but there was a resolution to waive off
The
penalties. Okay.
as at 30th June
Yes.
2023.
Yes.
So the people who had penalties have the period between 1st July and 31st December 2023 to pay. So if you pay the principal, the interest and other penalties can be waived off.
Exactly. And the problem is there's still a little gap between the taxpayer and ourselves. There seems to be a little bit of lack of confidence to come up. Okay. And this is where we want to encourage them, that the strategy this year is to engage. Let's engage our taxpayers. Let us hear out their challenges. Maybe they have dormant businesses, and maybe they have a lot of penalties, and they find it difficult. But this financial year, management is saying, let's engage with our taxpayers and see how we can support them. So for Cecilia, we are here exactly for that. Let's get in touch. Come. Again, some resolutions have been made, just like Josephine has said, to support that. So it's really, we're trying to make it a free and easy environment for the taxpayer and the URA to make things work.
Right. Okay, just two final questions or comments. Cecilia again says this education should be taken right from nursery to university and the informal sector. And to this, I'll say that the new curriculum, I believe, includes this. And at the universities and even some of the schools, there are tax societies, there are efforts to help people appreciate tax matters right from the tender age till they're adults. And then in the informal sector, URA has a unit called tax education, and as the person we're hosting today, Peter from Tax Literacy, they go out and engage the different people in the different areas of the country. We also have a bus, the Tujenge bus, which goes to the remote areas again to engage the different people to help them appreciate why they need to formalize and how they can go about the different tax matters. This also answers the question from Daniel.
Before you go to Daniel, I just want to appreciate the previous respondent. She's called Cecilia.
Cecilia.
I can see her passion.
Yes.
Okay. And I just wanted to mention one thing. At URA, right now, most specifically at the tax literacy unit, we are going out to the public. Okay. We're moving out to engage with the public and listen to them. But we're also improving our menu, our service menu, by listening to the technocrats who are outside there. They're people who are good at tax, who practice tax in the economy, and they're outside URA. And we have agreed that at the tax literacy unit, that we'll need to engage them to be able to improve our services, our tax services. And I want to take keen interest of that respondent. I wish we could get in touch with her. I'm seeing that we can, because many times we look at things from our view here. But when you have somebody outside who is enthusiastic, they can help to improve the view at which you look at things. So if we could get in touch with her, we could make a better platform, and we could make a better engagement and ideas to improve the tax services, because she's been talking about the nursery school, she's been talking about universities. Exactly, and I can see her zeal. So could she try to get in touch with us?
Yes. Hopefully Cecilia has listened and is willing to work with us, because that's what we're looking out for. And so the final comment from Daniel is that most of the smaller businesses are locally formed, and majority of the owners don't know how to file returns. How do you expect them to acquire information such that they are not penalized when URA approaches them? And this is the same response we were giving earlier. There's so many engagements that URA is carrying out through tax education and tax literacy units at URA. We go out to all the different people in all the different places, trying to educate them. The thing we desire most as URA, we are hungry to engage with and educate the different taxpayers so they appreciate and willingly comply. So we'd like to thank you for your time, for listening in, for the questions, and we encourage you to please continue engaging with us. Please utilize the different social media platforms, the toll-free lines. The people at URA are very willing to help you and assist you in the different matters. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.
Eyo jolese siyange eyange irisiti tompa bidara irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti tompa bidara irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti
Tompa bidara, mpa e-receipt yange. That's right. Insist on getting your e-receipt. It's your ticket to fantastic prizes, including motorbikes, laptops, fridges, and a fully paid 6-day safari for 2 in Uganda. Take a picture of your e-receipt, upload it to the URA website or mobile app, and you could be the lucky winner. The more receipts you upload, the higher your chances of winning. Terms and conditions apply. More details on our social media channels.
Uganda Revenue Authority. Developing Uganda